Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, February 28th, 2017. I'm Commissioner Bud Blake, the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners this year. And I'd like to start off first by doing introductions. Sure. All right, here we go. We'll do it this way. So, good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners for Tuesday, February 28th, 2016. I'm Commissioner Bud Blake, the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners this year. I'd like to start off first by doing the introductions. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards, and to my right is Commissioner John Hutchings. To his right is Labanita Bomar, the clerk of the board. To her right is the county manager, Ramiro Chavez, and to his right is the deputy prosecuting attorney, Elizabeth Petridge. With that in mind, I ask everyone to stand and let Commissioner Edwards lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. The next item, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda for February 28, 2017.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the Tuesday agenda for February 28, 2017.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to approve the agenda for February 28, 2017. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, next item we have is the board meeting minutes for February 14th. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the board meeting minutes from February 14, 2017.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the board minutes for February 14th, 2017. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, and motion carries. And I'll accept the work session summary from January 24, 2017 and January 31st, 2017. So the next item we have on our agenda is the presentation, and I'll ask the prosecuting attorney, John Thunheim, to come to the podium and introduce a new employee. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of County Commissioners. I'm so pleased today to be here to introduce to you, and I know you've already been introduced to him, but we'll do the formal introduction today of my new deputy prosecutor, Travis Burns. I'm going to just take a second, give you a little bit about his background, do the introduction, and then give him an opportunity maybe just to say a few words as well. Travis joined our civil division in February. He came to us from the Attorney General's office where he represented the Department of Ecology. He brings more than a decade of experience in environmental law to the office with a focus on water law, which I know the three of you now know is becoming more and more important to county government. He served the state first as a policy and legislative advisor for the Department of Ecology, and then later joined the Attorney General's office to become their legal advisor and to represent them in litigation involving environmental land use and water law. Travis received his bachelor's degree in political science from Colorado College and his law degree from the University of Wyoming, where he was a member of their law review. Prior to his legal experience, he worked as an environmental consultant for a water engineering firm in Colorado. And I'll tell you, when I was interviewing Travis for this position, he said something to me that kind of stood out and really played a big part in the selection process for me. I asked him, why do you want to leave the Attorney General's office and come work for a county prosecutor's office? What's driving that? And what he said was, while he enjoyed working at the state level on issues involving kind of statewide impact, he really felt like he wanted to serve his community. He wanted to bring his talents and his skills to Thurston County and apply them in a way which really benefited Thurston County. And that really stood out to me, and I'm very glad that he has accepted our employment offer and joined us. And so I'd like to introduce to you Travis Burns.
Yay.
Well, hey, thank you for the opportunity to formally say hello, and I appreciate the warm and kind remarks from Mr. Thunheim. And Commission, you've been all very welcoming in terms of bringing me aboard, and looking forward to working with you all in the near future and the long-term future, hopefully, as well. So thank you again, and looking forward to the upcoming months and years with you all.
Thank you, Travis.
Yeah.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah. Okay, so at this stage, we have the opportunity for the public to address the board, and the sign-in sheets that I have here are those who've indicated that they'd like to testify. And so I'll call them in order, and then I'll have, before we start, I'll have Labanita explain how the 3-minute rule goes. And then I'll ask if anybody in the audience still wants to give a chance to come to the podium, even though you hadn't signed up, but then we'll kind of do it off the podium here, okay? So, Labanita?
We have a 3-minute timer. It begins with a green light that lasts for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You will then see a yellow light for 30 seconds, and when you see the red, it means your time is up.
Sure. So the first person I have is it Lisa Rain? And forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I try my best. Hello.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing public testimony today. Many of us attended the study sessions last week. As I understand it, the study sessions that the Thurston County Commissioners conducted last week did not have audio or filming as we are doing now. So we cannot refer back to them easily, but many of us in this room did attend those study sessions. During the study sessions, there was quite a bit of discussion about the Whatcom County versus Hearst ruling of the Washington State Supreme Court. That ruling was talking about the GMAs and basically the overpumping of our aquifers. As many people here in Thurston County know, the Thurston County Commissioners now want our aquifers to be overpumped. They are giving out these exempt well permits, 34,000 well permits here in Thurston County. And many of us are concerned that our aquifer will be overpumped, and the Thurston County Commissioners do not care about this issue. This was widely discussed last week, and it's unfortunate that it was not filmed by the Thurston County Commissioners. These exempt well permits essentially give new homeowners the right to pump as much water as they want because nothing is monitored here in Thurston County or elsewhere. We do not have monitors on these wells to see how much they are pumping. So my girlfriend, who lives out here near Johnson Point Road, she and her parents have lived there for decades. Their well, they can only turn on their faucet for so many minutes anymore because all these new houses have gotten exempt well permits, and they are pumping, and my girlfriend and her elderly parents cannot afford to sell. Who would want to buy a house that has no water? But yet our Thurston County Commissioners now are hiring a new attorney, a water rights attorney, to push their agenda to overpump our aquifer. And many of us here in Thurston County are very, very concerned. So I suggest the people of Thurston County, when they hear about this issue, come down to these meetings every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, Thurston County Commissioners, and let's have a dialogue about what is going on here in Thurston County. Another issue that was brought up is the Endangered Species Act. As many of you know, the gopher issue is a big topic here in Thurston County. As was discussed last week during the study session, many people on this Thurston County Commissioner group now want to overturn the Endangered Species Act. They don't care about the pocket gopher. They don't care about environmental issues. They just want development, bottom line. And so I'm asking people who care about Thurston County and care about our quality of life, enough water so you can live out there, to attend these meetings and to speak out, because many of us feel that basically the Tea Party has taken over our Thurston County Commissioners meeting. They call themselves the Freedom Foundation, and we're concerned. Thank you.
Okay. All righty, next person I have is Mr. Steve Tilley. And just for the record, state kind of where you live in the county in general.
Yeah, my name is Steve Tilley. I live off Yelm Highway near Brassfield Roundabout. And I'm a member of the Treatment Sales Tax Advisory Committee, and I want to thank you for your support of that committee and the effort. I think it's really been fulfilling for me, and I think useful for the county. And Barb Bergner is here, our able staff leader, and she's been wonderful. The thing that being on this committee has taught me is the value of being able to look across the criminal justice system. Really, we're confined to issues of drug abuse and mental health issues, but to look across the justice system at the courts, the prosecutor, the defender, the jail, and also at the social service community, the priorities out there that are working to support the things that the public agencies do, and the public health department, and think about where to add, suggest additions, or to make cuts, or to try new efforts. And I recommend to you that it would be really good to do the same thing for the criminal justice system in the county. You have a $70 million plus budget. It's a lot of money. The county system works the same way. You have to think about how the jails, the sheriff, the prosecutor, the defender, the social service agencies, and the nonprofits are working together in synergy. And every year you might want to add some little thing here. If you get some more money, you might want to make some cuts where programs aren't working so well, or they're not spending what they have. And you might want to try some experimental programs out to make some adjustments incrementally and see how things work. And I think it's very hard for three of you who have so many other issues, as we just heard, to deal with, to be thinking about that throughout the year. And budget time is not a good time to really be thinking holistically. So I'm urging you to try and get some professional staff assistants to help you on a full-time basis to think about that. I understand there is money in the budget now to pay for a criminal justice professional. I urge you to fill that position and make use of professional staff to help you, like Barb does with the Treatment Sales Tax Committee. Really think about, on an ongoing basis, how to make the criminal justice system the most effective, efficient program it can be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The next person I have on my list is Mr. John Doan. Mr. Doan is the city manager for Tumwater. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Blake. Good afternoon, commissioners. Good afternoon. As was stated, John Doan, I'm the city administrator for the city of Tumwater, and I'm here to speak specifically to one of your consent items. It would be item 3D, which is the interlocal agreement between Tumwater and the county for court services. Obviously, we are in support of that. We started our relationship for district court services in August of 2013, and we had a few transition issues that we were able to work out, but I would say over the past 2 years, we have a well-functioning partnership. For us, it's a more affordable service, but it's also a better service. I think that all of the people who interact with what would otherwise be our municipal court customers are better served by the programs the county provides. So with that, I would ask for your support of that. I think we've provided the signed copies here, so it's actually ready to go. I also want to say thank you to Jennifer Crichton and Ramiro Chavez and Elizabeth Petridge, who have been an important part of negotiating this agreement and being able to bring it forward. And we look forward to working with you through 2022, which is the life of this contract.
Thank you for those kind words and support, and we look forward to it.
Thank you.
So the next person I have is Mr. John Newman. Is there Mr. Newman in there? Hey, hi, sir. John Newman.
Good afternoon, Chairman and the Board of Commissioners.
Can you state where you're from in the county?
I live near Cooper Point Road and
sure.
Division, up 28th and
Great.
Cooper Point Road.
Uh-huh.
And I've lived here for over 30 years and seen the county grow. There's a lot of people that lived here longer than that, and remember Thurston County when it was pretty rural and before the population impacts sort of came down I-5 towards our direction from Seattle and Tacoma. But we live in an interesting part of Washington. We have too much water in the winter, and a lot of times not enough water in the summer. We've had over a 30% increase in population, which means we've had a 30% increase in water use in the county too, and a lot of demands on the aquifers. The county has invested a lot of tax money in analyzing water use and water issues. The county should use that knowledge to move forward and follow state guidelines in planning for the future. Unlimited and unregulated growth will not work to help a larger population in Thurston County with increasing water needs. And with future drier summers approaching, I know we'll be confronted with ever reduced aquifers. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. All righty. So is there Marion Clements? Hi, Marion. Tell us where you're from and take the mic. Pull the mic down just a little bit. There you go.
I'm very happy to be here to
You bet.
see you all. Marion Clements, I live in rural Rainier.
Okay.
And I just want to say a few words about the marijuana ordinance. It seems very logical and very appropriate and very important that all industrial marijuana farming should be limited to industrial areas, and that there should be none of it allowed in residential or agriculture areas. I say this on behalf of all the citizens of the county, but particularly for the children. I would also like to read a statement from someone who is not able to be here, if that's allowable. This is from Lynn Quayle, who lives also in rural Rainier. Dear Mr. Challam, earlier in October I sent you a very brief email commenting that the latest proposed ordinance allowances for the cultivation of marijuana were very much inappropriate for rural residential areas. I am unable to be here personally. In this second communication, I would like to again express my very strong concerns about allowing marijuana production in rural Thurston County for the reasons below. In a very well-researched and written paper submitted to planners at Thurston County Public Hearing on Marijuana Regulations dated September 20th, 2016, Michelle Horkins wrote, quote, "The Thurston County interim moratorium regulating marijuana production and processing has consistently stated the proposed use shall not result in substantial or undue effects on adjacent property, neighborhood character, natural environment, traffic conditions, parking, public property or facilities, or other matters affecting the public health and safety and welfare. If an interim moratorium can recognize the problems associated with marijuana production, surely the proposed ordinance would reflect the same values and greater to protect residents and the environment, property values, and neighborhood character. A strong ordinance that protects citizenry, environment, property values, and neighborhood character is very much needed. Without it, such facilities become very challenging to oppose once established in a neighborhood." And there's more, but my time is running out.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marion, for those words.
And I will leave this, her letter.
So just leave it with Romero there.
Thank you.
You bet. Next person I have on my list is there Allison Baker here? Thank you, yeah. Hi, Allison. State where you're from in the county.
My name is Allison Baker, and I live in the Lake Lawrence area. And I agree with everything that Marion had to say. And I would have to say that the other thing that I wanted to make very clear is that this not only affects the youth having availability in our area, because I know you're going to be considering later on today how this has affected our youth in both alcohol use and as well as marijuana. Probably other drugs as well. And one of the things that happens when these when these marijuana growers grow out in the rural residential areas is they use a lot of chemicals. And the beginning of last year, 2 of Washington's largest cannabis producers were quietly barred from all sales, pending a Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board investigation into illegal use of prohibited pesticides. So if you have people, including families with small children, living in and around these current grandfathered in marijuana farms, we do not know if they're being exposed to some of these prohibited pesticides. New Leaf Enterprises, makers of the popular Dama line of products, and BMF Washington LLC, whose cannabis is used by brands including Liberty Reach and Juju Joints, received a stop sale order on December 29th and December 17th of 2015, respectively. A public court requested filed with the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board regarding stop sale orders revealed that both New Leaf and BMF were the targets of WSLCB pesticide investigations. The investigators say that they returned on November 12th, 2015 to collect plant samples for testing, and those plant samples, which were collected together in one container, tested positive for significant levels of the active ingredient of Eagle 20, the active ingredient of Forbid 4F, and the active ingredient of another banned pesticide, Safari 20. And this is this is not in our Thurston County, but if this is the type of neighbor that we're inviting into our community, especially around families with small children, I really have a problem with that. So I wanted you to be aware of that, and I wanted to enter this letter again, just to let you know that it's not just about, and I also wanted to say that I'm a multiple sclerosis sufferer. I'm not against marijuana. I know it has helped medically many people. So this isn't about not allowing marijuana. It's just about, keeping it in areas like industrial parks where it's not going to expose families and properties and small children. So thank you.
Yep, thank you so much. So the next person, I actually have a Dane and Dana Clay. I'm not sure which one wants to come to the podium. Okay, Dane. Yeah, please, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you state where you are from the county?
Yes, I live at 5818 Donegal Court, which is over by Hicks Lake.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah. I am proud to be an American. I believe we have the best government system in the world. It encourages citizens to be involved in a democratic process, and it does an excellent job of protecting our citizens. So therefore, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have 2 concerns. Number 1 is making sure Thurston County has enough water to go around. I don't know how much water inventory we have, but I do know that during the summer, I can only water my lawn 3 times a week. So there must be concerns. The Attorney General in 1992 presented an opinion that water availability must be considered before issuing building permits. This opinion has been further reinforced by the Whatcom County versus Hearst decision made by the Washington Supreme Court in October 2016. Clean water is critical to Thurston County. I oppose any sidestepping of the Hearst decision. Number 2, I'm not sure where I stand on endangered gophers, but I do oppose using tax dollars to fight legislation in this regard. It seems to me that the ones really benefiting from this litigation would be home builders. Therefore, I suggest they pay for the litigation, not the taxpayers via the Thurston County Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Next person to have is EJ Zeta. Hand it to Romero.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Hey,
How you doing? So thanks for letting us speak. I'm E.J. Zeta. I live in rural Thurston County. I'm a beef cattle farmer, and I'm the chair of your advisory committee for agriculture. And I'm here to welcome you to the commission. And I just wanted to introduce our agriculture advisory committee to you. We have 11 farmer members and non-farmer members on the Agriculture Advisory Committee. We're appointed by your board for 2-year renewable terms. And our mission is to advise your board on public decisions and emerging issues that can significantly affect agriculture. Some of the things we do is we can review local, state, or federal programs that are identified by your staff that can affect Thurston County agriculture. We can review or evaluate Thurston County efforts to protect and support agriculture. We can consider and recommend new initiatives that you may be interested in. And we work closely with WSU Extension and other groups to help them support agriculture. We basically support policies to help Thurston County farmers in business and initiatives that make it easier for our local producers to market their ag-related products. For example, we have ag committee members that serve on the Thurston Conservation District, and I gave you a letter of support for the good work that the TCD is doing. We have committee members on the Voluntary Stewardship Program. I'm sure you're familiar with that program, where farmers and other folks are working together to come to agreements so that we don't have to have regulations for the Critical Areas Ordinance and the Growth Management Act. We can consult on agritourism issues to help farmers market their products better, and we consult on development proposals that can impact ag lands, including pot farms. We developed a working land strategic plan a few years back, and the goal of that is to help ensure the economic viability of farm and forest lands, so property owners are more likely to stay in business than convert their lands to urban use. We have a beautiful location and great lands here in Thurston County, and we want to keep farmers farming. We want to keep producing food, and it's interesting to hear all these citizens talking about water. You'll hear from one of our great support staff who did a series of listening sessions with local farmers this past summer, and some of the main issues that came out for local farmers is farmers need land, large and small farmers need land, we need water, and we need labor. Those are some of the main issues. And so being real thoughtful about keeping plenty of access to water is an important issue, and this is something that our committee could advise you on. So we're here as a resource for you. We'd love to have a sit-down meeting with you so you can get to know us better, tell us what you have in mind. Got our contact information on here? So.
You bet.
All right.
You bet, and I just want to take a moment to thank you and the Ag Advisory Committee for what you do, and you're absolutely right. Some of the points you made there need to be discussed, and we look forward to those kind of topics. And
so we're here as a resource for you.
You bet. Thank you, EJ.
All right. Thank you.
Next person I have is it Mr. Stephen Brower? Yeah, come on up.
Hello, Commissioners. I'm from the South Bay area, up around Woodard Bay. Yeah, my name is Stephen Bramwell, and as you know, I'm the WSU Thurston County Extension Director and Agriculture faculty. I'm here today representing as well the Thurston County Agriculture Committee, and I'm the support staff member that Zita was referring to when she talked about a needs assessment we conducted last year. As an employee with WSU Extension, I'm an ex officio member of the committee. My relationships with the committee flow in two ways. I bring information to the Agriculture Committee from farmers, and I receive feedback and some guidance from the committee as well in my programming. As a WSU representative, the information I bring to the Agriculture Committee are updates on research and education projects in Thurston County. I update the committee on courses, field days, and conferences that we're holding within the county. For instance, the farm planning class that's currently going on Wednesday evenings this year, and as well as conferences such as a grains conference that's held once a year. In terms of research, I've updated the committee about a farm nutrient management project I'm working on with landowners in the Deschutes watershed. And in many ways, this gets to some of the points discussed today about balancing water quality and farm productivity. I've also had conversations with the committee about farm educational events at the county fair and how we might encourage more opportunities to learn about agriculture and get our youth to learn more about agriculture. As I mentioned, I also received feedback and some guidance from the committee, in particular because it is composed of knowledgeable farmer and non-farmer members, the latter of which are also very well informed about agricultural issues in the county. One area I've received feedback from the committee on, and which helps my work with farmers in the county, is on a needs assessment for agricultural producers. And this is what Zita was referring to. And the Agriculture Committee has been very helpful in editing and reviewing that and in the preparation of a synopsis report that will be presented to Thurston County citizens as well as public agencies. The committee is helping to review the needs assessment data I have gathered from Thurston County farmers, and they will also have a chance to review the synthesis report that proceeds from that. Finally, I want to emphasize that the Thurston County Agriculture Committee possesses an understanding of farming in the county that I believe will be useful to the Board of County Commissioners, and I highly encourage you to utilize this Agriculture Committee. For example, the committee is currently deliberating on strategies to retain agricultural land and production in the face of development and conservation needs. And we look forward to working with you on this, which could take the shape of conservation easements or other opportunities to transfer development rights and retain farming land and agriculture. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you, sir. All righty. Mr. John Pettit.
Not quite as tall. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I have several issues I'm going to talk about in 3 minutes. So, I am John Pettit. I live out on Rich Road over in the southeast Olympia area. First, I want to give a congratulations. News has come out that you have found a new director for public health, and from listening and looking at that, I think it sounds like an absolute excellent choice. I think she has real experience with the people, and she knows what the community's like. In fact, at one point in time, she even had my property listed as a spot for homeless people to come see me to get a little help. So she identifies the private sector is also a spot that can help people. Another issue which I wanted to bring forward to your attention was there is a current EIS that's being prepared for the habitat. I don't know if you're completely familiar with it. Mr. Blake had voted against it because he felt it was premature to be doing it, but there's a company called Confluence Environmental Services company, which is out of Seattle, and the contract's $428,000. I think it'd be appropriate for a new commission with a different, perhaps, viewpoint on things to make sure they have their input, to make sure we get the results out of it for an environmental impact statement that you want. I'll hand this over to the county manager. That's just a review on certain issues. Another issue which I have is, of course, is congratulations on selling the 3400 building. You have accomplished putting something back on the tax rolls. That's good. I have given some statements before about the necessity of refunding detention sales tax, which is where initial funds came out of. For the purchase of that building, and I have a county code here which actually indicates that the full amount needs to go back to the detention sales, full amount of the sale, not the bonds amount that we taken out, full amount needs to go back by county code. So that's already directed, and the bonds that were continuing to linger at this point, they happen to be federal subsidized bonds. So we can't just use them to suddenly pay off a new loan. Otherwise, the federal subsidy of the interest rate goes away, and the tax benefits that people that bought them would, in fact, diminish. I'll just hand this information over to the county manager. And the last 30-second issue I have here has to do with the GMA and water resources and such. I'm very familiar. I've lived here my whole life, and I've actually looked at some of the studies related to water. A lot of the issues, they are very in-depth issues, and while we may have political interest in wanting to see certain things happen, it appears that there's a number of people that are on a bandwagon just stopping growth completely. Everyone's entitled to use their property, and there's reasonable ability to do it. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, John. All righty. That's the last I have for anyone in the audience to address the board. If there, yeah, please, ma'am, come on up.
Thank you very much. I got here too late to sign,
Sure.
and I appreciate your
Just
giving me the opportunity to
state
come
where you're
up.
from in the county, state your
Anyway,
name.
Peggy Bruton, and I live in downtown Olympia, but I'm a property owner of several properties. My husband and I are property owners in unincorporated Thurston County as well.
You bet.
So I'm just here to say also, like I think some others who preceded me up here, I also listened in on some of the proceedings last week on those complex issues regarding water use and water availability, critical areas, ordinance, endangered species protection, and so forth. And I know those are very complex subjects, and I'm glad that the commissioners are addressing them and discussing them, and I think we all need to be thinking about these things. I was disturbed a little bit to hear, well, I hope not, but I was a little bit concerned to hear some talk about eliminating regulations and substituting voluntary compliance instead with instructional programs so that people will be aware of what's expected and how to be a good steward. Not that I think that's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, in fact, to have programs to teach people how to take care of the resources and of their land. But I think if it's a substitute for regulation, I think it's not a very good idea, because I think it's just not fair to those people who choose, who volunteer, and who learn, and then who practice, put those things into practice and do take good care of their stormwater runoff and their resources. The people who elect not to, and we should keep in mind here that there are many, many people purchasing property and seeking development permits in our county who aren't necessarily from this area and who really don't understand what's needed. So I think that it's unfair to the rest of us if we don't have, we need to have some kind of regulatory structure. And I think I would urge you to be very, very careful about doing away with any of that, or when opportunities come, when you see opportunities to make regulations, or not necessarily regulations, measures for protection that will help us to take advantage of them. You know, water will always run downhill, and the properties of those of us who've taken pains to be good stewards will be negatively impacted by people who don't do that. So thank you very much, and thank you for your work. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak, even though I came in late.
That's all right. Thank you so much. Is there anybody else in the audience? Yes, come on up. How you doing there? Just kind of
Hello,
stay where you're from.
Commissioners.
Stay where you're from, and then go ahead. And your name.
My name is Michelle Hawkins Brigham. I live in unincorporated Thurston County, just outside of Yelm. And I think there will be more people perhaps coming here at around 3 o'clock. That's what was posted on the website as the time for the public speaking, so they may have been confused. I attended the February 24 commissioner meeting, and in that meeting, I was surprised to hear that there had only been one complaint in regards to marijuana production and processing operations in rural residential agricultural communities of Thurston County. And so I looked up some information, and I brought some packages for the commissioners of multiple complaints about operators next to neighborhoods that have been severely impacted. I am opposed to the zoning of Tier 1, 2, and 3 marijuana production and processing operations in rural residential or agricultural areas of unincorporated Thurston County. I agree to finalizing the current interim ordinance as the final ordinance, and I do not think sunset clauses would benefit the citizens. Mainly because what I heard in the meeting was that they would be extended over 5, 10, or 15 years, which I just think is impossible. I also brought information about the King County wastewater, and I wanted to read you that information. This is their regulatory guidance for cannabis operations. Wastewater that results from any growing, manufacturing, cleaning, or rinsing processes is considered an industrial wastewater, and is subject to local, state, and federal regulations. This includes water used in extraction, hydroponic irrigation, and the manufacture of edible products. Prior to discharging industrial waste to the sewer system, all discharges that generate and dispose of industrial wastewater must contact their local sewer agency to obtain approval. No business may discharge industrial wastewater into an on-site septic system. Septic systems, also known as individual on-site sewerage systems, are designed to treat only domestic wastewater, which means water carrying human wastes, including kitchen, bath, and laundry waste from residences, buildings, industrial establishments, or other places. Industrial wastewater may not be discharged to any septic system according to state regulations. Industrial wastewater discharges to septic systems can damage them and cause harm to the environment. So I appreciate, I could bring up other points, but I have made copies of this guidance for each of you. And thank you for listening to me yet again.
You bet. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to come to the podium and approach the board for a public? Yes, sir. Come on. Mhm. Just state where you are from the county and your name, please.
My name is Roger Max. I live down in the Rochester area of Grand Mountain.
Go ahead.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. You've heard a lot of concern about water availability, quantities, recharge rates. It's like when somebody has a job and they have a family to take care of, and they have a budget. They have enough money to pay their bills and a little bit left over for savings. Now what they do, if you're smart, you go ahead and save the money for emergencies or whatever, for thin times. Or a person could go ahead and lean on their credit cards and buy a new car and stuff and use up all of their available income to pay off their bills. It's the same thing with water. Water is an absolute bottleneck for livability in the area. If we expand development to take up all of the water, or take up the water under the best of circumstances, and things dry up, as they are likely to overall over the years, you're going to have serious problems. And it's just crazy to even contemplate building out to those levels. Lacey has had problems for years in their water availability. They have overbuilt their water resources. How crazy is that? Another thing, an opportunity that you might want to consider also, and I know that Mr. Edwards is concerned about pharmaceuticals getting into the wastewater, systems and stuff, and going on down into the lot systems and stuff. Well, that's a good thing to look at. But the other thing is that our wastewater plants are routinely overwhelmed by heavy rainfalls or mishaps with their valving and stuff. And the point is that they quite often discharge raw waste into our bay areas. It's been recommended no kids. Don't pick up the rocks around the Bud Inlet and stuff like that because of the amount of pollution. You can't go swimming in Capitol Lake because it's a festering pool of pollution. This is the opportunity that you guys have, if you wish to undertake it, to show your farsightedness in pursuing building up the infrastructure for the population that we have now and the circumstances that we have now and facing us into the future to undergo renovation, expansion, or finding a solution to the pollutions that we generate at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Last chance. Anybody on the audience like to come address the board? Seeing no one, I'll just move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the number 2 item, the county manager's update, and give it to Romero Chavez.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you. I just have a couple of items for you. The first one, I'd just like to inform the public that next week's Board of County Commissioners, which is March 7th, is being canceled. In lieu of that, the commissioners will engage in another planning session, and the agenda will be posted 24 hours in advance. The second item that I have for you, and this is a pleasure, to present this certificate to Barbara Bergner. If I may ask you to come forward. So Barbara is going to be retiring from county government. So I'd like to read this certificate to you in appreciation for your commitment, your professionalism, and everything what you have done for the county as well as for its citizens. It has been an invaluable contribution from your perspective. So in honor to your service, this certificate is presented with thanks to Barbara Bergner. The Thurston County Board of County Commissioners expresses their appreciation and recognizes your 6 years of service as program manager for the treatment sales tax. Your commitment and dedication to serving the community and caring for the well-being of individuals and families in Thurston County has made a positive difference in our community. This is presented by your Board of County Commissioners today, 28th day of February 2017, signed by Bud Blake, Chair, John Hutchins, Vice Chair, and Gary Edwards, Commissioner. Congratulations.
Picture.
Yeah, we'll get a picture.
You're gonna go down for a picture, Gary.
I have 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm not counting.
Are you a short timer, Barb?
You guys made me wear nylons on my last day of work. I just want to say that.
Unacceptable.
Too much info.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you, guys.
We're looking forward to working with you.
Anything else?
Yeah, one last item, Commissioners. On February 22nd, Thurston County was invited to participate on a roundtable conversation with Governor Inslee, and it was related to having a conversation of the state of the infrastructure here in the state of Washington. It's no news to you or the public. There is a rising need as to how we're going to be addressing the current state of our infrastructure, both bridges and our roadways. But also, it took as an opportunity to have be focused on presentations related to the Washington State goal number 2, which is sustainable, efficient infrastructure, as highlighted by the Department of Transportation and the state of Washington. And Thurston County had the opportunity to highlight the 2014 replacement of the Little Rock Bridge. As you may recall, that was an emergency replacement because we found the substructure of that bridge did not have any rebar if we have to close that bridge until we can find an emergency replacement. That by itself was a very successful exercise that required a lot of partnerships with the state, the federal government, and also a commitment from all the professionals involved to make this happen. So I'd just like to inform there was a great opportunity for county staff to showcase this bridge and also to participate in highlighting the needs of addressing public infrastructure in the future.
That's absolutely great news, and know that the governor all the way down to Little Rock is paying attention to our bridges. That's great. So the next item I have is the consent items. And so with that, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent items A alpha through G golf.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to approve the consent items A through G. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. There we go. So moving on to our departmental items, we have Public Works, and it's a contract for consultant services for Thurston County Bridge Building, bundling for repair and replacement study. And Mr., you're not Scott Davis. You are.
I'm Matt Unselman. I'm actually pinch hitting for Scott Davis
That's right.
today. And I'll try to keep the project titles shorter for you.
That's all right, Matt. That's all right, Matt. It's a great engineer thing.
I appreciate that.
As an engineer, I'll fully admit that.
Good.
Public Works received state and federal funding to administer a study to evaluate the feasibility of using bridge bundling practices in the state of Washington. We received 5 proposals in a response to an RFP for a consultant to complete the study. The current practice of most local governments is in the traditional design it, bid it, build it process, which can take a long time, and we're only doing one bridge project at a time. Oh, I thought she was coming for me.
Shield yourself.
So bridge bundling is a process where multiple bridges are lumped together into a single contract to streamline the design, permitting, and construction. By designing and constructing multiple bridges in a single contract, each bridge will actually cost less individually. So after evaluating proposals, staff has determined that H.W. Lochner is the most appropriate consultant to complete this study. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to award the contract for an amount not to exceed $101,000. Thank you.
You bet. Any questions, comments?
No.
Nope. And with that, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chair, here it is. I move to award an architectural/engineering consultant services contract to H.W. Lochner Incorporated to complete the Thurston County Bridge Bundling for Repair and Replacement Study, CRP number 77162, for an amount not to exceed $101,000, and to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the contract and any contract amendments due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, up to 10% of the contract, or $10,100, or an aggregate amount of $111,100.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt. So the next item is from the Public Health and Social Services. And we do not have, oh, we do. There's Linda. How you doing, Linda? It's good to see you again. So this is a contract with Catholic Community Services, right?
What?
This is a contract with Catholic Community Services.
Yes.
Okay, sure, you
Yes.
got the mic.
Okay. For your consideration today is approval of a contract between Thurston County and Catholic Community Services for shelter services, including shelter night stays, transportation to Puget Sound Healthcare System at American Lake, and community meals for eligible veterans residing at the shelter. The contract is in the amount of $47,230 for January 1st through December 31st of 2017. The Veterans Advisory Board unanimously recommended approval of this contract, as well as a contract that is currently in place with Interfaith Works for shelter services in 2017 also. And that contract is in the amount of $10,000. So I just wanted to mention that so you understand. Those are the two shelter contracts that we have for this year.
Any questions of Linda?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the contract with Catholic Community Services Southwest in the amount of $47,230 for the period January 1, 2017 through December 31, 2017 to provide shelter services, including shelter stays, transportation to Puget Sound Healthcare System at American Lake, and community meals for eligible homeless veterans at the Drexel House Emergency Shelter. Move to authorize the Interim Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do, Linda.
What?
Thank you so much for what you do. So the next item is There you are. I see amendment number 1 to a loan between Department of Ecology and Public Social
So I have
Services.
two agreements for you that I hope you'll authorize today, and they're basic, they're very similar. I'll describe them both at the same time, and then you'll have to actually take two motions
That's
in order
right.
to,
Okay, great.
to pass them, if that's what you choose to do. And so what this is, I'm asking you to do is to authorize me to sign an amendment, which is kind of the final amendment for 2 loan agreements that we have with the Department of Ecology, and they're for our low-interest septic system loan program. And so some people may know this, but since from 1993 to 2016, we had a low-interest loan program that we used to have issue loans and grants for people who have failing septic systems. And the program was pretty successful. Over the course of that time, we issued more than $1,285,000 in loans and grants that helped help people repair failing septic systems. And the program came about years ago because folks who had failing systems, they had a difficult time financing them, and this was a service that we were able to provide assistance. In 2016, though, the program was shifted to something called the Clean Water Program that's administered by Craft 3, which is a community lender who operates in the Puget Sound area. They're able to provide the same services that we were able to and actually enhance them in some ways. So the board last year decided that it was appropriate to shift from having a county-operated program to having the one that Craft 3 does. So what this agreement does is basically finalizes our loan agreement with the Department of Ecology, establishes a repayment schedule, and returns any of the unused funds back to the Department of Ecology. So the first agreement that you're being asked to consider today basically obligates us to repay a loan amount of about $14,700. The second one, second motion is the bigger of the two, and it actually obligates us to repay about $85,000. And so those loans we're able to repay them because we charge a small amount of interest on the loans that we've made, and so that difference allows us to pay for our small administrative costs and then make sure that we can repay Ecology on the schedule that they've established. So I'm asking you today to authorize me, as the interim director for 28 more days, to sign the 2 loan agreements, or loan amendments.
Any questions of Art?
No, ready to go.
Okay. Take a motion on the first one.
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign Amendment 1, final, to loan number L1300010 between the State of Washington Department of Ecology and Thurston County Public Health and Social Services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay, on the next one, Art?
Mr. Chair, I move to authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign Amendment 1, final, to loan number L1200016 between the State of Washington Department of Ecology and Thurston County Public Health and Social Services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you
And
so much,
I'll just
Art.
mention, since I'm here and someone may actually watch this show, is that folks who do have a need, if they have an interest in getting a low-interest loan, that program still exists, and the phone number they could contact is 867-2628. And
Say
they
it
would
again.
867-2628, that's area code 360, and they can be in contact with our staff, who can direct them to the folks at Craft 3 if they need that assistance.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Art. We'll try one more. Central Services is the next item. We have Mr. Dempsey.
Yes, I'm not Mario.
Martin. Yeah, I was going to say that's not you. Okay,
I'm
so
Martin.
this is a bidder for a project.
Yes. I'm Martin Casey, your Central Services Director, pinching in for Mariusz Kowaleski, who's the project manager, and unfortunately was called away to another meeting. We are seeking your approval today to award a public work contract to replace a domestic hot water system at the Family Justice Center. For some quick background, the Family Justice Center was built nearly 20 years ago in 1998. It holds important civic and criminal court functions, as well as a 24/7 juvenile detention facility. The domestic hot water system provides essential hot water for health and sanitation, including in the restrooms, showers, laundry, and food service. This system is original to the building and has far exceeded its original expected operating life. And the boiler actually failed once in 2013, and we extended its operation through an emergency repair that replaced a burner component. In 2016, we included a full replacement project in the capital facilities plan, funded through the Family Justice Center's building reserves, and this was approved by the board in the 2016 budget. Design work for this replacement was completed last fall, And the new design will feature 2 inline heating units with a 200-gallon storage tank, which will be significantly more reliable and more efficient than the system from the 1990s. We solicited construction bids from the small works roster in December and received 4 bids, which were opened this January. As noted in your agenda summary, the low bidder is Blue Mountain Mechanical of Olympia. Their total bid, including sales tax and 10% contingency, is for just under $125,000, which is covered under the available building reserves. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
Any questions of Martin?
No. Nope.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to award a bid in the amount of $124,621.83, including Washington State sales tax and 10% contingency for the Family and Juvenile Court Domestic Hot Water Tank Replacement Project. Number 25502, to Blue Mountain Mechanical Incorporated of Olympia, Washington, and authorize the Central Services Director to sign the contract and any change orders for the project due to unforeseen conditions only, not for changes in scope, that do not exceed the 10% contingency.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded as stated. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much,
Martin.
sirs.
Okay, so it is 3 o'clock and we're scheduled for a public hearing. And in that sense, I'm going to move from the Board of County Commissioners Forum just temporarily, and then I'll come back to it after we do the public hearing. So it's 3 o'clock, and the public hearing is to consider amending Title 10 of the Thurston County Code to add new chapter relating to underage drinking and marijuana use and implementing civil infractions. And so I'll ask Mr. Romero Chavez to give an overview, and then I'll give the purpose.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just to some clearinghouse items. The official public notice was published on February 2nd, 2017 on the Olympian, that is our newspaper of record. And through the process, we have received 3 comments.
Okay.
One from Mr. John Cubb, expressing support for the proposed ordinance. We also received a comment yesterday related to the public hearing, but not necessarily related to the subject of the public hearing. So, and I sent an email stating that marijuana was not part of the public hearing today. And also, we received a comment from the executive director of Together, Megan Sullivan, related to a specific language on the proposed ordinance, and I believe she will be providing testimony later on during the public testimony portion of the public hearing. So what this ordinance will make is an underage gathering where alcoholic beverages and marijuana are rendered to underage persons subject to civil infractions. So this ordinance will apply on the following definitions. Responsible person includes the persons who owns, rents, leases, or otherwise has the right to control property in which an underage gathering takes place. The persons in immediate control of property at which an underage gathering takes place, or a person who organizes, supervises, sponsors, conducts, allows, controls, or controls access to underage gathering. If the property is rendered lease, the landlord or lessor is not covered under this chapter unless they fall within the category of persons described on different sections of the ordinance. Underage gathering means a party gathering knowingly permitted by a responsible person of 4 or more persons on a property in which alcoholic beverages or marijuana are being consumed, or possessed by 1 or more underage persons, or 1 or more underage persons are exhibiting effects of consuming alcohol beverages or marijuana. Underage person shall mean the person who is under 21 years of age. Civil infraction. Upon identification of underage gathering, law enforcement may issue a notice of civil infraction to any or all non-responsible persons with a penalty as prescribed by law for each cited responsible person. Civil infractions for violations under the Thurston County Code 10.30.020 are designated as a Class 1 infraction. Under current state law, the penalty amount for Class 1 infraction is $250. Applicable fines are set by state law. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Any questions of County Manager? No? I would like to ask the Deputy Prosecutor Attorney to read four of the exemptions that are associated with this. Is that all right? You got to turn it on.
There are a number of exemptions set forth.
She's not turned on. Hang on. We got to do the button. There we go.
I'll start it over.
There you go.
Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, there are a number of exemptions set forth in the body of the ordinance, and these exemptions provide that there is not a violation under these situations, and that is when this chapter shall not apply to any location or place that is regulated by a permit issued by the Liquor Control Board. The second exemption is that this chapter shall not apply to underage gatherings where the only underage people there are, and they're consuming alcohol, but are being closely supervised by their respective guardians or parents. The third exemption is that it does not apply to alcoholic beverages or marijuana given for medicinal purposes to an underage person in accordance with law. And then the last exemption is this does not apply to an underage person when such alcoholic beverages are being consumed in connection with religious services, provided that the alcoholic consumption is the minimum necessary for purposes of religious services.
Any questions, comments?
No, good.
No? Okay, just to reiterate, this is a public hearing considering public comment regarding a proposed ordinance that will make underage gatherings where alcohol, beverages, and marijuana are rendered to an underage person subject to a civil infraction. With that in mind, there's a sign-up sheet in the back. If you haven't already signed in, that's okay. I'll bring you to the podium and let you speak after I get through with the list. You'll have 3 minutes, and I'll ask Labanita to explain the 3-minute timer in just a second. And when you do come to the podium, if you hadn't signed in, you'll have to give your name and where you're kind of from in the county, okay? So Labanita, explain the 3 minutes.
Our timer starts off with a green light. It lasts for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. You will then see a yellow light for 30 seconds, and when you see the red light, it means your time is up.
So on my sign-up sheet, the first person I have is Mr. John Thunheim, the prosecuting attorney.
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. Pleased to be here to, I guess, testify in support of this. I want to say that I don't usually come to the podium and give you public comment on things like this. But today I felt it was important for me to actually be on record on this one and be on record supporting your going forward and enacting this ordinance. I think it's important for you and for the public to realize that while this is an ordinance that looks at the direct problem of underage drinking and underage consumption of alcohol and marijuana, in large part this is about public safety and traffic safety. I have had the unfortunate experience of being at the scene of more than one horrendous crash involving a young person who was driving that had been attending a party of the nature that we're talking about in this. And I'm sure Commissioner Hutchings and Commissioner Edwards in their experience have seen probably more. And you only have to see one of those really to come to the understanding that you never want to see another one again. They are horrific things to see. And it really compels us to want to try to do something about this. So I'm here in favor of moving forward with this ordinance. I do want to make one recommendation to you in terms of how this ordinance moves forward. In that definition of underage gathering, there is a reference to knowingly permitted by a responsible person. And I know you've had some conversation already about that in the work session about this. What I want to say about this is that it's already a crime, as you may know, for somebody to knowingly permit or to knowingly supply alcohol or marijuana to a minor. That is a crime, and we actually do prosecute those crimes in instances where we are able to detect and take enforcement action in a party and actually identify the person who may have done that, knowingly supplied the liquor or alcohol or drugs that are being consumed there. Enacting this statute or this ordinance with that provision in there really just duplicates the crime and doesn't really add anything in terms of the toolbox for us. Because we can, anything that would fall here we could already do criminally, and we're probably going to do it criminally. This ordinance, as I see it, is really intended to look at those owners, renters, whoever they are, who kind of passively allow, who do the, you know, the ostrich in the sand kind of approach. I know what's going on, but I don't really want to know anything. You all just kind of do it and don't tell me about it. Those are the folks that we really need to get their attention and let them know that we're not going to tolerate this kind of conduct in this county. So simply taking out that little phrase and moving forward would accomplish that. This is a civil infraction, so we're not looking at prosecuting those people criminally, but yet it does hold them somewhat accountable. So I appreciate the time and your consideration of my remarks.
Thank you for your words, sir.
And I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
No, you've done
Okay.
a good job.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mr. Prosecutor.
Thank you.
sir.
Okay. Next person is Mr. John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Pettit. I live in East Olympia.
John, can you pull the mic down just a tad? There you go.
I guess he's taller than I am.
There you go.
Okay. So my name's John Pettit. I live in East Olympia. The concept of having additional county code to overlay over the top of what is already criminal code, I have to admit, I think it may be an effort, and I applaud the idea nobody wants underage drinking. We don't want them using marijuana. We don't want them being intoxicated or not cared for. But I have to tell you, this is kind of a real reach, and I'm going to call it a real progressive reach, to think that by writing another code, installing it to people who are not going to read it, to have total disregard for the code because they already know it's criminal, it seems like as though it's a redundant practice, and it's a, hey, we're being good guys, we're going to pass another code, another ordinance, we're going to be tough on you. But as you already heard, if it's going to be prosecuted criminally for it when it's actually found and determined, then perhaps the idea of just making another code isn't really the part. Perhaps there's something further that can be done. Okay? And when I say something further, people are familiar that sometimes people have property like my own. People will come down, and yes, it takes a little enforcement from the owner to make sure people behave themselves. There is a responsibility in doing that. But there's also a responsibility in just owning property. If you know about something wrong, yes, you report it. You get people there to clean it up, or you make sure it doesn't happen. Do I think that applying another $250 fine is going to make a difference? Not to the people that are going to allow underage kids to go drinking or smoking pot or whatever. I think the idea is that codes are supposed to be there for the idea of enforcement and helping better the situation. I'd prefer to see more of an effort towards more involvement with teaching not to do it. Send a little notice. If you do it, we're going to, I think the concept was, you do it, we're going to nail you. Well, anybody that approves of a kid to go out and drinking and without being watched, they deserve more than just $250 a fine. But I don't think passing this particular additional code is going to be meaningful to those that never read it. Thank you.
Yep, thank you, sir. So the next person I have on my list is Mr. Bob Morris.
Mr. Commissioners, my name is Bob Morris. I'm a part owner of two retail stores here in town under the name of Lucid, one on Martin Way and the other down on the Yale My Way, one in Thurston County, one in Lacey. I fully support, our company fully supports this proposed ordinance. I, in fact, think it could be strengthened some more. So I've made some suggested changes, which I'll provide in just a moment. And the only other question I have or comment is that on page 2, we talk about the definition of marijuana. I'm not sure it covers all existing things like concentrates and infused products. So I'd like to suggest you look at that more carefully. Otherwise, I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you for your words, sir. Next person I have is Meg Sullivan. Hi, Megan.
Hi, my name is Megan Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of Together and the Chair of the Thurston County Drug Action Team, and I'm here to say thank you to the Commission and its partners for your leadership and partnership on this issue. Research tells us that a social host policy similar to this one is one of the most effective tools that is recommended as a way to reduce risky youth substance use, so thank you so much for putting this forth. Studies show that policies like this reduce underage drinking, including heavy drinking as well as drinking and driving that the prosecuting attorney spoke to earlier. Youth alcohol and marijuana use is a significant concern, and to Mr. Pettit's comments, there is education going on out in our community, but unfortunately there's not enough resource and not enough education for young people, and given that the science really supports this as a highly effective tool to reduce underage substance use, we're really excited to see Thurston County moving in this direction. I have a whole lot of data, but I won't bore you with too much of it, but there's a bunch of data about riding in a car and driving a car under the influence of alcohol or marijuana, and again, to Mr. Thunheim's point, this would have positive impacts on traffic safety as well as on public health in general. Also, speaking about education, Thurston County Drug Action Team and Together stand ready to do public education and outreach in partnership with the county as you desire to make people aware of this policy. Awareness and education and outreach is as important as having a policy on the books. So if this were to be adopted and passed, we would absolutely be ready to educate the whole community about this policy. And we really think it's a smart step in the right direction to advance the health and safety of Thurston County youth and families and communities. So again, I just wanted to say thank you, and we're a partner and a resource to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And Susan, is it Meyer or Hare? Yeah.
This is related to the permit for marijuana grow facilities.
No, this is the social host ordinance.
I'm in the wrong category.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We love seeing you, though.
Can I speak about it now? I kind of came in a little late.
About the social host ordinance?
No, this is about the permit for marijuana grow.
That's a public hearing in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, is there anybody else, though, in the audience would like to approach the podium? Yes, please. Just state your name and where you're from in the county, okay?
Michelle Hawkins Brigham, Yelm, Washington. I am in favor of this ordinance. I think the more we can do to protect young people, the better. I've personally witnessed young children being raised amongst hundreds of marijuana plants. I've witnessed teenagers on private easements and teenagers wandering around these kind of facilities. So I've also been in classes at the South Puget Sound Community College where a young man said that he couldn't get to class each day if he didn't have a joint before he got in his car and drove to the class. So I'm very, very concerned about the youth, and I think our county codes are supposed to protect public health and safety. If we have ordinances that allow marijuana growers, large operations, tier 1, 2, and 3, in rural residential and agricultural areas, we are not protecting the safety ultimately of these youths, because there's a lot you can't see out in the country, and with the very limited law enforcement we have and narcotics task force officers available, it's very difficult. Even as this gentleman said, we should notify officials if we are uncomfortable with behavior. It's very difficult to get help, and so I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Okay, is there anyone else? Hi, ma'am, come on up. It's good to see you. Just for the record, state your name and where you live in the county in general.
Neomosha Nelson. I live in West Olympia, and I am the co-founder of a group called SAGE. It's a trade association composed of cannabis producers and processors in the Thurston County and surrounding area. And we support this social host ordinance fully. One of the key things that we're concerned about in the cannabis industry is public safety. And anything that we can do to advance public safety and increase awareness, as well as educate the public about cannabis use for recreational and medicinal purposes for adults, as well as preventing underage consumption, we're willing to do. So we look forward to working with you in the future on a community level to address this extremely important issue.
Thank you so much, ma'am. All righty. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to come to the podium? No, but I do have one more question for the county manager. Do you have a question? Sure. Sure. In Thurston County, how many jurisdictions have adopted a social host ordinance such as this in either the attorney or the...
It is only one more, I think, is the town of Rainier, who has approved a similar ordinance.
And just kind of a little bit more your background, has it been fully enforced, but has it been useful in terms of helping out the city of Rainier?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe it has provided a positive influence in addressing the issue.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Your comment?
Are we allowed, Mr. Chair, to make comments in favor or opposed to something like this from our position up here as chairman, as county commissioners?
Yes. You sure are. That's what it's all about.
I thought you were going to cut me off.
No. You have the mic.
I would like to point out that I've been involved with Together for 25 years, and Megan brought this forward. I think it is very forward-thinking to think that anytime we can invest in protecting our kids, and kids are 30% of our population, but they're 100% of our future. And we really need to strive to invest because they're going to be running the show here before long. I'd just like to point that out as we move towards the vote.
My turn.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to thank also Prosecutor John Tudenheim and for Megan Sullivan with Together for speaking out in favor of this. And John was right that if you've seen one of our youth, local youth, mangled or fatally killed in a crash, it's one too many. But when you've seen it a few times, it's unbearable and completely unacceptable. So I completely support this, and I do have some personal experience with Rainier, where there was once the news was put out in the city of Rainier, in their paper, in the Olympian, I believe it had been Cairo News, that the word got out there was going to be a party. This was in 2010 or 2011, and the party moved outside into the county area, as I was told, because of the ordinance. I think it's incumbent upon us to do what we can to curb the sharp increase in marijuana overdosing among our youth, and even the accidental overdosing with the ingestibles of our kids. And we have to sometimes, regrettable enough, but we have to do it, where we have to step in where we have permissive parents or parents that want to rather be friends of their kids rather than parents, and under the guise of, well, at least they're doing it into my roof, we'll let them do this that type of illegal behavior. Again, it's not a crime. It's a crime in the state, but this makes it a civil infraction to allow that to happen in your own home. I'm happy that it's a civil infraction rather than overlapping with the criminality clause in the state, and I'm very happy with the exemptions that are also provided in the ordinance. So thank you, I'm done.
No, good to go. I think anytime we can protect kids, it's worth the investment.
So with that, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move to close the public hearing.
And I'll second that.
Moved in second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Also, I'll take a motion to approve the ordinance.
Mr.
Go ahead, I got it.
Yep. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the ordinance. Social.
I'll
housing
second
ordinance.
that.
Is there any discussion before we go further as far as the content of it?
Yes.
Well, we need
yeah.
to do a strike.
Right, okay. So, based
I'll
on.
reverse my second.
Yes, no, just hold on just a
No,
second. So with that in mind, is there a discussion about moving the two words knowingly permit in terms of the overall ordinance, throughout the entire ordinance?
Yes, I would suggest that we remove that knowingly permit and leave it as the responsible party.
You want a second on that, Mr. Chair?
Just an agreement or not?
I'm in
discussion.
agreement.
Okay. So with that in mind, I'll revise the, if we can revise the motion and to add the amendment of deleting the words knowingly permit.
So, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the amended ordinance, adding Chapter 10.30 to the Thurston County Code relating to underage drinking, marijuana use, and providing civil infractions.
And I'll second that.
It's been moved in second to approve the marijuana ordinance that is amended to Chapter 10.30 to the Thurston County Code relating to underage drinking, marijuana use, and providing civil infractions. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All right, with that, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll return back to the Board of County Commissioners meeting. And so item number 7, as far as the agenda on the Board of County Commissioner meetings. And at this point, we ask commissioners to report back to where some of the committees or sessions they've sat on over the past week or two. I'll go with Mr. Edwards.
No, I'm not going to make a report today. We've drawn this out quite a bit, and I'll cover it next meeting.
Okay. And Mr. Hutchings.
Yes, I attended the Thurston County Mainstream Republicans meeting as a guest speaker on the 15th of February. And on the 16th, I was interviewed and had a great conversation with Thurston County Young Democrats. Yeah, that was very meaningful. And on the 15th, met with the assessor, and 2 days ago, met with our new county treasurer. Met with Under Sheriff Tim Braniff and did some hobnobbing with Representative Dolio and Representative Orcutt, pushing some legislation or speaking on behalf of legislation. And this last 25th of this month, last Saturday, I attended the South Sound Parent-to-Parent Champions of Courage annual fundraiser down at the Children's Hands-On Museum. And tonight, I am addressing the Tenino City Council.
A lot of busy stuff, huh?
Amen.
I'll speak for all three of us in the sense that some of the members who came and spoke were absolutely right. We took a week and went over many of the larger issues here in Thurston County in terms of the impacts, and be it regulatory, financially, legally, and what we call operationally. And we covered such items as the stormwater. A Supreme Court ruling was handed down on 29 December that stormwater now has to be looked at in a different way, and especially for those who are new construction, even those that have already established dwellings. We're not quite sure where we're going with that, but at least we've laid everything on the table, and we have to come back and do some additional analysis. And the staff and I will get together and do that. Another one was exempt water wells. Kind of the same thing with the Supreme Court ruling saying that all counties must now do a complete inventory of their water in their basins, especially in the lower basins. And we just went through that in terms of inventorying or doing analysis on the inventory and just some of the impacts it would have on development and communities and the water as a whole as far as agricultural and non-agricultural usage. No conclusions were from that meeting. We still have to do more analysis on that. And I'll zip through the other ones real quick. The Habitat Conservation Plan, i.e. the pocket gopher. And while that was an all-day event, it was very, very productive in the sense that we asked the federal U.S. Fish and Wildlife to sit at the table with us And we had a very good discussion on where we would move towards a resolution here in the near future, and what we think is a run-up to negotiations, and then a negotiation in hopes of avoiding any kind of litigation. But it is finally a chance where we've had that discussion, and there's more to come with that, and it is scheduled here in the next couple of weeks and months to continue those discussions. So the other ones was the behavioral health organization, and just how the merger or the full integration of the behavioral health organization would be with the managed care organizations. That's a long story to say that the behavioral health would come underneath a primary, most likely in 2020. We just didn't know what the impacts would that be as far as chemical dependency and mental health in the communities, and especially for law enforcement and in emergency rooms. And so with that, I also attended with the Homeless Hero Award. It was very, very touching, very, very moving. A young lady by the name of Stephanie Day committed a lot of her life to helping out those who are homeless here in Thurston County, in particular downtown Olympia. And to have her mom and dad come there and receive the reward posthumously was just a great opportunity to recognize just how much Stephanie has made an impact and moved, quote, the needle on people's lives, getting them a roof over their head, food in their food supply, and the medical care that goes along with all this. And Stephanie is well regarded. And lastly, I attended the Thurston Thrives Coordinating Council. We spoke primarily on the ERAT. That's an acronym we call the Education Resiliency Action Team. Read that as taking care of kids from birth to maybe say 18 to 20 years old, in terms of just how things that go along that schools need to be involved with, homes, communities as a whole. And it was really rewarding to see the ERAT team come. They've done such a great job over the last over the 2017 year, and 2016 year, and there's just nothing but good stuff coming for 2017. All righty. Any other last minute comments, concerns?
Nope.
Nope.
Good to go.
No. Nope. So with that in mind, I'll turn it over to the county manager for the review of the commissioner's calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me walk you through your combined calendar. The appointments that I'm going to be describing, where at least 2 commissioners are present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. So beginning on March 1st, tomorrow, 9 o'clock, you have a Thurston County Communications 911 briefing. At 9:30, you have the Thurston County Administrative Manual Information Technology briefing. At 10 in the morning, you have a preliminary comprehensive plan amendment briefing. At 10:30, you have the NPDES annual briefing, which is the National Pollution Discharge System. That's the annual permit that we receive. And at 11:15, you have the opportunity to welcome new employees in Thurston County. That will be at 11:15. At 2 in the afternoon, you will have a briefing on Fish Passage Culvert Program, where Public Works will give you the opportunity as to how they prioritize specific culvert replacements here in the county. And at 2:30 in the afternoon, you will have a briefing on the traffic study on the Grand Mount and US 12 area. On Thursday, March 2nd, at 9 in the morning, you have a briefing on the cable telecom with Thurston County Media. 10, you have a commission's check-in where an agenda will be posted ahead of time. At 2 in the afternoon, you will have a briefing on the development code docket, and that is a follow-up to a briefing that you held 2 weeks ago. At 3 in the afternoon, you will have a meeting with the Department of Revenue related to the Board of Equalization process. At 4 in the afternoon, you will have a briefing on the flood management plan. And at 4:30, you have an annual meeting with the Storm Surface Water Advisory Committee. Friday, March 3rd, that's reserved for your interjurisdictional and constituents meetings. And let me walk you through the next week, since there is now going to be a Board of County Commissioners next Tuesday, March the 7th. So on March 6th at 10, you have a precinct boundary overview and maintenance that is given by the Thurston County Auditor. We'll walk you through some of the different nuances of boundary review processes. At 11:30, you have an executive session that is related to RCW 423110, parentheses B. Moving on to Tuesday, March the 7th, we will come back here at 9 in the morning for a Board County Commission's agenda setting where you review the March 14th agenda, among many other items, including some of the legislative items that are going on in the legislature right now. At 2 in the afternoon, we cancel the Board of County Commissioners again, and that has been replaced with a Commissioners' Planning session. And an agenda will be posted 24 hours in advance. Wednesday, March 4th, 9 in the morning, you have yet another budget briefing. And then moving on to 3 in the afternoon on March the 8th, you have the syringe exchange program, a briefing on how that program can be implemented. And at 4 in the afternoon, you have a pest and vegetation management policy where you will have, as a Board of Health members, you will have an opportunity to determine how that particular aspect of our business is worked, and perhaps an opportunity for you to influence some change. Thursday, March the 9th, at 9 in the morning, you have an update from Superior Court. At 10 in the morning, you have a Commissioner's check-in again on March 9th, this Thursday, and an agenda will be posted ahead of time. And at noon, you will have a lunch with your appointed directors from 12 to 1. Moving on to March 10th at 9 in the morning, Commissioner Hutchins and Commissioner Blake will have a Thurston Mason Behavioral Health agenda setting meeting. And the rest of the day is reserved again for interjurisdictional and constituent meetings for you. Moving to March 13th, 3:30 in the afternoon, you have a jail staffing study proposal review where you interview a consultant. They will do the staffing study at the jail. And that will take us to March 14th, where a Board of County Commissioners will be held again. That's all I have for you.
Nope.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Okay. All righty, just if you hadn't heard it, on 7 March, there will be no Board of County Commissioner. And just in closing, I'd like to say take care of each other out there. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn the Board of County Commissioners meeting of 28 February 2017.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and second to adjourn the Board of County Commissioners meeting of February 28, 2017. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Thank you.